I can still hear the tone my mother used that day, clipped cool and final. You'll have to pay more rent now that your brother's family is moving in. They've got kids. It's only fair. Fair. That word hit harder than an insult ever could. That night, I sat in my room, the same one I'd faithfully paid rent for over 6 years, while downstairs, laughter filled the house. My brother Ryan and his wife were unpacking, staking claim to what once felt like my home. For the first time, I didn't argue. I just listened, and I started planning. When I first offered pay rent, it wasn't about the money. It was about respect. I'd moved back after college, promising to contribute until I was stable. Ryan was already married by then, 2 kids, a house he couldn't afford, and a list of mistakes my parents always bailed him out of. But despite it all, he was a favorite. I was the steady one, the dependable one, but he was adored. Month after month, I paid on time. I helped with groceries, fixed things that broke, even drove my mother to her appointments. But every time Ryan came by, she glowed, her tone softening, her smile brighter. I used to think I was fine with it, until I wasn't. The shift started small. Groceries I hadn't bought filled the fridge. The utility bills soared. My mother's patience thinned. One night, I passed by the living room and heard her voice over the phone, my name, my rent, and a sentence that made me stop cold. She can afford it. She doesn't have a family. It's her duty to help. Duty, as if I was a servant in my own home. That was the moment something in me settled. Not anger, just clarity. I didn't yell. I didn't confront her. Instead, I smiled and started keeping records. Every rent payment, every grocery trip, every repair. I built a trail of proof, neat and undeniable. Then I quietly began searching for my own place, a small 1-bedroom across town. Not luxurious, but mine. Within a month, I'd signed the lease. I packed late at night while they were visiting Ryan's in-laws and moved out in 2 weekends. When the last box was gone, I left my old room bare, the walls empty, the shelves dustless, like I'd never been there at all. I set my key on the kitchen counter with a single note. I don't live here anymore. Rent day came. My phone rang. Where's your payment? My mother snapped. I don't live there anymore. I said evenly. What are you talking about? You can't just... The agreement was month to month. I've paid everything I owe. You made it clear I was just a tenant, not family. So, consider this my notice. There was silence, then panic. You can't do this. Your brother, You'll figure out, I said and hung up. The next week came a flood of guilt messages. Crying emojis, photos of overdue bills, long texts begging for help. Then Ryan called, furious, saying I'd abandoned them. I ignored it all. Through a friend, I later heard their utilities had been cut off. My mother had no savings. She relied on my rent to keep things running. Ryan tried to help, but only dug himself deeper into debt. Within weeks, they were drowning. By the 3rd month, the house was chaos. And me? I was free. 3 months later, my mother appeared at my new apartment without warning. Her eyes were puffy, her hair disheveled. A shadow of the woman who once scolded me for being ungrateful. You've destroyed this family, she said at the doorway, her voice trembling. She went on and on about the bills, Ryan's marriage, her stress. And then she said it. You're heartless. We gave you everything. That broke the last bit of restraint I had. You didn't give me everything, I said quietly. I earned it. Every dollar, every bit of peace I had. I worked for. I paid rent while he lived free. The moment I stopped, you finally saw who was holding that house together. She stared at me, eyes wet but sharp. You think you've won, she whispered. No, I said. I just stopped losing. Then I closed the door. Weeks later, word trickled back through relatives. Ryan's wife had left him. My mother was renting out rooms to strangers just to survive. The house that once suffocated me was now just a burden she couldn't afford. I didn't gloat. I didn't have to. Sometimes, revenge isn't about tearing someone down. It's about walking away from the place that let them break you and never looking back. Still, I won't lie. There was a quiet satisfaction in knowing they finally saw the truth. The one they dismissed was the one holding everything together.